Hello everyone, I'm Tuppence. I've been sent this lamp from Resiners and they've asked me to try it. It's a dual-sided UV resin lamp, and I have to say I'm really looking forward to this because the lamp that I have is a little inaccessible and this looks like it is a wireless lamp. So I'm going to open this box and we'll check it out. Let's see what we've got. Okay, well, that is not looking like the same colour as I usually get. What is this? Ooh, alright, that's a purple one. They're normally mint green. I didn't even know they made a different colour, but that looks lovely. So let's see what else we've got. I've got a pair of glasses and this is fantastic. I've just been to the opticians because my sight was deteriorating a little bit and I have cataracts. I let her know that I was doing resin work and she said it was quite likely that the UV resin light rays had been bouncing off of the resin into my eyes. I never look at the lights when they're in the lamp, but obviously if I'm curing resin using a torch, I kind of need to look at what I'm doing. So this is fantastic. I am definitely going to be using these to protect my eyes, and yeah, please people, just be careful, use the correct PPE, and glasses are an essential. Okay, so let's check out the light itself. It looks very compact and neat, and it's like a Z fold or an angle poised lamp. So that's pretty cool. It goes up quite high, which is interesting. So there are 3 rows of 6 lights. That's 18 on the top, 18 on the bottom. That is 36 lights in total that cover an area that is approximately 8 by 18 centimetres or 3 by 7 inches. You've got timing on the front, so you've got 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, and I'm presuming that is the battery indicator light. So I'll check this out in a minute. Let's see what else is in the box. You've got a charging cable, that's a USB charging cable, and a screwdriver. The screwdriver is going to be so that you can adjust these screws. You might need to tighten or loosen them, and they are Phillips head screws, so it's great that you've got the little screwdriver. Okay, what else have we got? So let me move that out the way. You've got your warranty card, and here is the instruction booklet. Again, it is nice and clear. The diagrams are clear and it's pretty well labelled. So I'm going to read this a little bit later. The instructions are only in English. So yeah, I'll check that out in a minute. And then this is your working platform that's going to sit inside. So let me move everything out of the way. Then I can get this lamp set up so that I can make something with it. Okay, so I've had a quick flick through the manual and there's just a few bits of packaging and plastic that I need to remove from this. So on top of these little platform supports, there's a small disc of vinyl. You just need to pull that off and that will expose the little silicone pads that are on there. And these are grippy, that's to help support your platform when you put it on there so it doesn't slide around. And there's coverings on the platform too, so you need to remove those, like a sticky label that you can grab and you can pull the covers off of both sides. Now I normally like to keep at least one on just to make sure that it is protected, but I'm going to take them both off today. Right, let me pop this on here, just try and get it centered. Wow, that is quite grippy. It is actually lifting the lamp up as I take this off. Yeah, that's pretty grippy. So if you pick that up, that is not falling off. I'm not holding on to that. So this little grippy feet, I'm going to leave the plastic on them because it's fine on my silicone mat. So the tray itself is about 12 by 19 centimetres and it sits about 1.5 centimetres above the bottom lights. And then the top layer of lights, you can just angle those. You should have them within about 5 centimetres of the top of your project. So you just need to angle it until you get that level. I need to charge this up now before I use it. So I'm going to go ahead and plug that in. You do not get a plug, but you do get a cable and it is a USB-A on one end and a USB-C which plugs into the back of the machine. So I'm going to put mine in a socket. I have a socket that has USB-A plugs on it. So I'm going to put the USB-C end in and it's just at the end of the machine. And then I'll plug that into my wall socket. Okay, and there's a little light on the battery indicator and that is flashing red, and as soon as this is charged it is going to go a solid white, and you'll know that this is going to be fully charged. So I'll be back when I'm ready to use the lamp. Okay, so it's all charged up. I've got the plate in place, and to turn it on you press a long press on the top button and it will turn both of the lights on, top and bottom, and then a long press again, that turns it off. So I'm going to turn it back on again, and if I press it quickly just once it will switch between either the top or the bottom plate. Same principle, you press it again, it will turn on the other one. To set the time you just touch the bottom button and that will cycle through from 2, 5 or 8 minutes. The top indicator light is your battery indicator light, and then you just long press to turn it off. Alright, so I think it's about time that I tested this by making something. Let me get some gloves and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got my gloves and I've got a bunch of lovely moulds. Now these are alphabet shaker moulds and they come as individual letters. I've picked out the K and the R because I'm going to be making this for somebody. You only have the letters, there are no numbers, but the pack also comes with these acetate pieces that are cut to the right size and shape to make your cover. So I'm just going to open this, and judging by the size of the packet I'm pretty sure that there is only one piece for each of the letters. So that being said, I'm going to keep these just to make a template from them, and I will draw around them onto another piece of acetate. That way I'm always going to have an original template that will be the right size. Okay, so I have my letters, some glitter. I've got these tiny bottles of chunky glitter, so I've got a green and a purple, and of course I'm going to need some UV resin and the lamp. I've poured a little bit of my UV resin into my pot, and this one is from a brand called Limino. I will leave a link for that in the description box below, and for anything else that I can find that you might be interested in using. Also check it out because there will be a discount code for this lamp if you're interested in it. So I've added my purple glitter and I'm going to give it a quick mix to make sure that it is coated in the UV resin. And I only want to pour this around the outer edge of my letter. I don't want this to be on the back of the letter. So I'm going to try and pour this really carefully down the sides. Try not to get it on the flat part of the mould. I do want that to be clear. Okay, I've got a little bit of a mess, but it's on the outside of the mould and that is fine. I'm just going to use my stick to clean that off. And then I'm going to coax that resin all the way around the outside and make sure that there are no bubbles. The bottom edge is going to be the edge that I glue the acetate onto, so that needs to be really smooth. I'm not going to be putting liquid in mine, but if you did, you really wouldn't want any bubbles in there. Okay, I'll pop that onto my lamp platform. I'm going to do this one and then I can cure them at the same time. I'm going to add some green glitter this time. This is going to be for my nephew and his favourite colour is green. I'm going to use these little shaker charms as present labels. So not only will they label the presents and let people know who they're for, but they're going to be a present in themselves. I've placed my moulds onto the platform and now I'm bringing the top down so it's resting about a couple of centimetres above the moulds. Before I turn this on, I need my PPE, in other words, my glasses. So I'm going to pop these on. And then I can support this edge at the bottom and I'm going to long press and that will turn on both the lights. I'm going to set the time for 5 minutes. Okay, that is finished. I'm going to lift that top up and then I can remove both of the moulds and move that out of the way. Now I can add the next layer. I'm just going to fill these up with the clear UV resin until it reaches level with the top of the mould. Then I'll go around the edge with my microbrush stick, making sure that there are no bubbles stuck along the edges and that it's going to be nice and flat. I can see a few bubbles, so I'm going to use my long neck lighter to pop those. Then I can bring on my lamp and I'm going to pop them onto the platform. It isn't quite level, so I'm just making sure that it's nice and flat. And again, I'm going to long press, turn that on, and I'll pop it on for 5 minutes. These are nice and cured now and they're looking pretty good, so now I can demold them. And they demold pretty easily. The letters that have the small centres, like the R's and the B's and the P's, they can be a little bit more difficult, but again, it's not that hard. So once I've got them out, they're looking pretty good. I do have a couple of bubbles in this one, so I'm going to need to fix those first. I put a small blob of UV resin onto my silicone mat, and this will be enough to fill the hole. In fact, the hole that I am filling is not actually caused by a bubble at all. It is part of the mould. I didn't realise this until I saw it on the K as well, and I checked the mould. It's to allow you to add liquid into your shaker. I don't need this here, however, so that's why I'm filling it. So I'm going to cure this, but I've forgotten to pop on my glasses. Lesson learned, I need to wear these glasses because the UV light will bounce back off of this resin. After I've filled the holes, I'm just giving the top surface a quick sanding with a nail file just to make sure that it's perfectly flat. As the pack only comes with one piece of acetate per letter, I'm going to be using them as a template rather than actually using them. So I've placed them down on top of a document cover. I use a 300 GSM document cover, and I'm tracing around the letters using a Sharpie pen. Then I can cut them out, and I will always have an original template available to me. Okay, before I fill this or add the acetate, I need to drill a little hole so that I can put the eye hook in. I'm going to drill them in the corners so that they hang nicely. And if I do that before I put the acetate on, then any debris that goes in there, I can clean that out and it's not going to get stuck inside. I'm using a little USB chargeable drill, and I'm going to drill all the way through into the middle, and then I can screw in the eye hook, and I'm going to add a little bit of UV resin just to make sure that that stays put. I'm even going to put a little bit on the inside where it comes through into the middle, and then I'll be able to pop that underneath my lamp. I'm going to do the same for the other one, and then I'll cure them both together. Okay, they should be ready now, so I'll take them out from under the lamp and move that out of the way. And then I'm just going to check to make sure that those eye hooks are firmly in, and they are. Now comes the fun part. I can start filling it. I'm going to use beads and sequins. I don't like putting glitter in there because it tends to stick by static onto the resin. So I've got these red and gold seed beads. I've also got this pack of sequins, assorted sequins. Now some of these are definitely too big, but if I use a spoon, I can probably scoop up some of the tiny ones in the bottom. I'm going to put everything into this pot. I think that might be a little too big. Well, no, it's all right, it fits. So I'm just going to gather some of the stuff that I want, and then I'm going to fill up my shakers. It's not always easy to know how much to put in. Sometimes you can overfill them or underfill them. So I'm going to put the acetate on top and lift them upright, and then I can see whether I need to add some or take some out. And in this case, they look pretty good. I don't need to do anything. So a quick clean up of my desk. And now I need to fix the acetate on top. I like to use UV resin to stick my acetate onto the top. So I'm just going to follow around the edge and make sure that it is all coated with some UV resin. This way I know that it is going to remain clear. You're not going to be able to see any kind of glue, which is what some people might use. And I know that when I put my top coat on, it's not going to have any trouble sticking. Once I've gone all the way round, I'm going to clean my acetate off. I'm using a microfiber cloth just to make sure there are no fingerprints or dust marks. And then I can lay this on top. It's going to be slightly smaller than the whole letter, and this is to allow for a small border around the outside, so that when you put your top coat on, you are going to overlap the acetate and you'll be able to seal it in. I've repeated the process with the letter K, and I'm going to pop them under the lamp, and they only need to be on there for 2 minutes. Now all I have to do is the top coat, and I'm going to leave them on the lamp to do that, but I do want to protect my plate, so I'm going to put the document cover underneath. It's see-through, so it's not going to impede the light, and if any resin should spill over, it's not going to damage my plate. So all I have to do now is cover the surface with the UV resin. I'll put a little bit on top, and then I'm going to spread that out so that it covers the whole of the surface and goes right to the edge, sealing over the edge of the acetate. It's going to add strength, it's going to dome it, and it's going to restore the shine. Though these letters are pretty small, you could always put somebody's name on the acetate before completing this step, and then you can seal it in. Maybe use something like a cricket and cut it out using some vinyl. Once I have this all covered, I'm just going to take my long neck lighter and I'm really carefully going to pop any bubbles that might be on the surface. If you do it quite quickly, you won't pop the acetate. Then I'm going to cure this for 2 minutes. And here we have the finished shaker. They're all nicely cured. And as I say, you could put a vinyl name across the front of this if you wanted to personalise it. You can even add some stickers or little charms. And the beads inside make a great noise when you shake them. So I really like these moulds and I think they're going to be super useful. I'm going to use them all year round. And being able to use this lamp to cure them made everything super easy. It's compact, wireless, meant that I can use it anywhere on the desk, and I certainly had more than enough room. And the fact that they included the UV protective glasses is something that I'm really grateful for and I will be using a lot. So if you'd like to get your hands on one of these lamps, then please check out my description box. You should find links and discount codes. I really liked it and I'm going to find it really useful. So thank you very much, Resiners. And if you've liked this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, comment, share if you can, and subscribe if you haven't. You'll be able to come back and see what I'm going to make next time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.